Good evening, everyone. I didn't know I was on this job to describe myself. Usually, people have, when you meet someone, everyone has files in his head. When he meets you, he asks you what you do. And he wants to categorize you in his files. So when people ask me what I do, I don't really like to say that I do in real estate because it's much more than this. Our office represents foreign investors or buyers, people that never lived here before, that need guidance in buying apartments, renovating, or management. We have a management company. We take care of management for people that don't live here. Sorry for my English Stanford accent, but I hope everyone will understand it. First of all, it's very inspiring to see so many people that gathered today people that value knowledge. Knowledge is a very important thing. It's important the whole time to keep on learning. Some people, after they finish the Tichon, they finish the universities, they stop learning. It's important to keep on learning. This is how you grow the whole time. The people that came here tonight are different than all the other people that saw the ads and didn't show up. The people that came to tonight are people who understand that we don't have enough time and money to make all the mistakes. We should learn from other people that studied, everyone in his speciality, and hear what they have to say. I want to take two subjects tonight. I'll try to cover a few important points. We'll start off with purchasing apartments, real estate in Israel, and the next part will be regarding renovating. I have to keep track of the time. Okay, so the first we'll start with 4 points of making a successful purchase here in Israel. The first, most important point is what it's called Yesh li mishu acher. A lot of people that have dealt with real estate till now maybe know, if whenever you want to go and buy something, if you want to buy real estate, if you want to buy an apartment, even when you go to rent an apartment, and the metavech says, Im ata lo chotem achshav, yesh li mishu acher. So I call this the yesh li mishu acher trap. Don't fall into this trap. I like to say, you're allowed to say, some people say, in God we trust, all the others we pay cash. But still, we're Balei Emunah, and sometimes we have to use our minute. If this apartment is Bashet, is the word in Yiddish? Huh? If it's meant to be for you, this apartment, either if it's for rent or if it's for purchase, it will be yours. You do what you need to do to make sure that this is what you're looking for. Buying an apartment could be one of the biggest or the biggest transaction deal that a person does during his entire life. For most people, we have clients that have 4, 5, 6, 7 apartments also, but for most people, buying an apartment is the biggest transaction deal that will do their whole life, so they have to make sure that they do everything they're supposed to do before they sign. Once you sign, it's over. The second most important point is due diligence. A lot of people know before you go and buy a microwave, a washing machine, or before you go and buy an oven, you ask your friends what oven to buy, what makes the best challahs, what fridge to buy, what microwave to buy. But sometimes, when it comes to buying an apartment, you look around, you look into the paper, you call a metavech, and he pushes you into buying something before you made your own research. Research is very important. There's a lot of ways to do research. It's not hard to do research. It's very easy. if you want to buy a ready apartment, you go there. We have now a client that wanted to buy an apartment in a cheaper area that has some upside that will go up, and he had a small budget. He doesn't live here, so we were thinking of buying an apartment for him in Kiryat Yovel. We never bought an apartment for someone in Kiryat Yovel before, so we went down. We called different metafrim that sell apartments there. We went around to look. Once you see an apartment and you think it's suitable, you knock by the neighbors, you ask them, who was the person that lived here before? Why is he selling it? Sometimes, from just, if the right word is innocent talk, if so, just somewhere you go, knock by a neighbor and you ask him to tell you about the building, about the people that live there, he'll give you all the information you need in one go. I know someone that just bought now, was supposed to be a client, and then he decided that he knows himself. He lives in the States, and he came here, he wanted to buy an apartment. He found a metarech. He bought an apartment on the 8th floor in a so-called new building, but he didn't know that this building doesn't have a Shabbos elevator. Buying an apartment on the 8th floor for top price without a Shabbos elevator for a Hamish is with kids, it's problematic. So this is just a small research. If you would have asked a few people about this building, someone would have told them. This apartment is waiting for sale for 2 years maybe, no one bought it yet. And you didn't get any discount. Sometimes, we spoke before about emunah. Sometimes when a person davens, he prays that to Hashem that he should find the right apartment which is suitable for him. So some people think that after they finish davening or a day or whatever, when it is, and they found him a tavech, they think he's the shliach from Hashem to provide me the apartment. It might be that he's the shliach, but doesn't mean that you're not supposed to do what you're supposed to do, the shtadlis, to make the right research. The third point has also to do with yesh li mishu acher that we spoke before, is you should never make zichron dvarim. This is more maybe for the lawyer to talk about. There's a lot of people, when they see they have an apartment that they would like to buy, they first sign a memorandum, Rashei Prakim, of what the deal is about. This can cause a lot of problems because a zichron dvarim is a contract, a real contract. If the seller made sure to put in what he wants, his money and the time he wants, you are obligated. Yeah, thank you. You are obligated to the deal. So that's why it's very important. And the same is when you buy an apartment in a development. They also, first thing they try to get from you is a hatza'at rechisha, a rishum. You register that you're going to buy in this and this apartment, which they tell you, it's just we'll make the contact when your lawyer will be ready, but just first we'll sign this hatza'at rechisha, as they call it, registration. So you know that this apartment is yours because I have 10 people in the back waiting to buy this apartment today. So this is an important point to make sure before you take any step in real estate, to use a lawyer and make sure that the lawyer, the good lawyer of course, and you make sure that the lawyer should be with you from step number 1 till you get the key. Yeah.
Why is it that agents do not tell you up front that sometimes the building you want to buy in is really on leasehold from the church? You have to find that out yourself. They do not offer that information.
she's asking a very...
Before you started with the lawyer, you're going around with an agent. You find an apartment you like. I found out by accident, because I'm a little old man in the courtyard. I stopped him and I said, "Do you like living here?" He said, "I love it." He looked like 90. He said, "I love living here, but I just have to tell you, in 6 years, our lease to the church is up." So I said, "Well, then why would someone buy something like that?" He says, "Well, my wife and I have no children, and we've been living here for 50 years.
So,
Why don't they offer this information?"
I'll repeat. First of all, you did very clever that you stopped someone in the courtyard to ask about before you made the purchase.
I'm an attorney.
Okay. This is an important question. Why don't the agents tell you everything about the purchase before you buy? This is a hard question to answer, but what I usually tell people is, not chas v'shulam, that people lie. It's only that they tell you half of the story. The other half, you have to work out yourself. So now we come to the next point, which is all really combined one with each other, is to consult before you make a purchase, and even before going to the lawyer. Before, when you start to investigate, when you start thinking of buying, to consult with people who understand the field, to know how you should look, what you should look, and where you should look. There's so many things that you need to know before you buy, before you do a purchase. Even before you start looking, you can waste your time looking around and then understand that you weren't doing the right thing. You were thinking of buying, and this, maybe you know already what area you want to buy. You're thinking to buy this type of thing, but you don't have enough money. The mortgage will only give you 50%, or the mortgage will give you more or less. You have to first consult to know what's the first step you're supposed to take, then to go further. We have saved hundreds of thousands of shekels for people just by consulting them and guiding them through the purchase. I don't know if I should say this story because maybe there are I had once a client that was supposed to invest in a big project here in Yerushalayim. That we made up, the deal was all made up, and he was almost ready to go and sign the contract. When I was going over with him the details of the contract, we saw that the deal was tzamud lamadad. The tzamud lamadad is a whole different story that maybe in a different time we'll talk about it. Whatever it is, it means it's important to know also when you purchase an apartment in a development, if whatever price it is, 1.5 million shekel, 2 million shekel, it's linked to the inflation rate, which is usually not only the regular inflation rate, it's linked to the inflation rate of the building material, which is much more than the regular inflation rate. Let's say the regular inflation rate from 2010, from the middle of 2010 till the middle of 2013, was around the 7.5%. The inflation rate of building material from 2010 until 2013 is, I think, either 10.5 or 11.5%, what the inflation rate went up. That means that the price of the apartment goes up with 10% on the money that you didn't pay from when you bought it till when you get the key. So in this case, we made up, because he's investing in the beginning, when the developer was looking for money, we made up that he's paying a certain price, he's getting a certain amount of apartments, and it won't be linked to the madad. While reviewing this contract, I saw that it says in the contract that it is linked to the madad. So I asked the developer, why does it say that it's linked to madad? It's not supposed to be. So I said, oh, I'm sorry, it was a mistake. This mistake could have costed the investor from New York could have costed them around $180,000. Which this might be an example of a big investor, but we have also examples of small investors. We saved them money throughout. We lately had the story of someone who bought an apartment. A young man, a young boy, right after his marriage, his parents bought him an apartment, and he was sent money in dollars through a charity. Was sent. He took a loan. He took a loan in a gemach, and they were supposed to give him a rate. The loan was $150,000. I don't remember exactly what rate there was that day, but when he came to me with the money, I told him the rate doesn't look right. It was 9,000 shekel less than he was supposed to get, which is just a regular person buying an apartment with one payment of $150,000. That was 9,000 shekel less than it was supposed to be. So that's why it's important. I should wrap up. Okay. That's why it's important to have guidance before you do any real estate purchase. Maybe a different time. There's a lot of important points that I want to speak about making a renovation, which is negaya for everyone. I'll just do this one. There's 5 points that people you need to know before you make a renovation. I'll only tell you the first 3 points for now. The first 3 points is planning, planning, and planning. Everything you need to plan in advance. Take your time. Plan 2 months, 3 months, or even 6 months before you start taking off the first piece of block. If you plan it right, you'll end up with what you wanted. Also, almost, no promise that it will be, almost the price that you wanted to invest in the beginning. I have my book here, so there's a lot more information in my book all about real estate. If someone wants to buy it, you can approach me afterwards. Thank you all for listening to me. It was a pleasure for me to be here, and I hope it was for you also. Thank you.